Today it's another photo walk and I'll have some wide-angle tips for you guys. Okay, here's this snow-covered rock in the foreground, and I think I can make an interesting picture here. I'm gonna choose 18mm wide angle, and I'm gonna go low like this and place the rock in the foreground and the foggy, overcast horizon in the background, like so. Hi guys, my name is Matti Sulanto. I'm a photographer and a Lumix ambassador. And this is another photo walk, and in this time I'll have some wide-angle tips for you guys. You may recognize this location. I've been here before on my last photo walk, which you can watch here if you haven't seen it already. And I decided to come back in this same spot for a couple of reasons. The reason I came back today here in this same location is that now I have another lens. Last time I shot on a standard lens, and now I have a wide angle lens, and I'll tell you about the lens in a bit. And also the weather is very different from last time. Last time it was sunny, now it's overcast and it's even snowing. It started to snow just when I arrived here. And it's good to remember that even the most familiar location changes a lot with the weather. So you don't necessarily have to go really far to get another, like a new fresh angle or fresh picture. Just wait for another kind of weather and go to your familiar place, and I'll guarantee you'll get another kind of picture even if the location is the same familiar location. $18mm f8 again, and the lonely bench that I shot last time. And this is a good example how much the weather changes everything. Let me show you the picture that I shot here last time. As you can see, it's a completely different shot compared to this one. And one more picture of these rocks here. I think they make quite a nice composition when I include this one here. And the snow that covers them is a nice addition to this composition. Don't you just love the tilt screen? You don't have to crawl on the ground to get a picture like this. And the lens that I have today is the Lumix 12, the 35mm f2.8 zoom lens. My original plan was to take a wide-angle prime lens, but I don't have any weather-sealed wide-angle primes. And the weather forecast said it's probably going to snow, so I decided to play it safe and take a weather-sealed lens. And I love this zoom lens, and I use it all too little, so that was another good reason to take this lens today. And I'm gonna stick to the wide end of the zoom, like 18 to 12mm range, and I'm pretending it's almost like a prime lens. I'm cheating a little bit, but anyway, this is the lens that I have today. And let's go and find some more wide-angle shots and wide-angle tips for you. There are no rules in photography, of course, as you probably know, but wide-angle pictures usually work better if you can find something to fill the foreground, like this swing here in this case. Okay, I'm gonna stick to the f8 and let's see. Okay, I'm gonna focus on the swing so it's sharp, and I'm gonna take another one at wide open f2.8 aperture to get some blurry background as well. That pristine snow-covered pier behind me there, that might work. Let's try. I don't want to walk on the pier. I don't want to leave any like a footprints there. I'm gonna just stay here and choose 12 millimeters f5.6. I'm gonna turn also my camera on. 12 millimeters f5.6, and yes, it looks kind of nice. There's this cafe behind me that only operates in summertime, and I was just walking around it trying to find some detail or something to photograph, but unfortunately there's nothing to photograph here. However, talking about coffee, if you like this video and this type of content, please buy me a cup of coffee. There's a link down below for that. And now I'm gonna head that way and try to find another photograph. And here it is, my next picture. I really do like how these tree branches behind me, how they fill the top part of the picture. And I think this is gonna come out really lovely. Let me try. I'm at f5.6, 1/40th of a second, ISO 200, and the snow adds to the picture really beautifully. Okay, this is gonna come out nice. Okay, the snow doesn't show as much as I'd like to, but I still like this picture a lot. But let's move on to the next one. All right, 12 millimeters again, f5.6. Just a little bit of 2/3 of a stop plus exposure compensation. But I don't want to add too much exposure compensation because sometimes in conditions like this where there's a lot of white surface, you're gonna ruin the highlight tonality and the highlight roll-off if you expose too far to the right. And I also shot this same spot. Last time I was here, of course, I had a different lens. I had a 25 millimeter or a standard lens last time. But anyway, let me show you here the picture I made last time, and you can see how much the weather really changes the whole scene. It's quite a different, almost like a different place. Wide angle lenses are also really good for handheld long exposures, relatively long that is, but you can easily get 1 second or even longer handheld exposures, at least on a Lumix camera and the dual IS. Behind me there are some rocks and some water, and I'll show you how I can smooth out the small waves that there are. Oops! The waves are not really big today because, or large, because it's a relatively calm day. However, if I use a normal shutter speed like 1/50th of a second or so, I can still see all the waves. But when I stop down all the way to f22, I can get 1 second exposure, and that is going to smooth the water, and it's going to look really like a silk or something. Okay, easy now. I don't feel like swimming today. Oops, okay. 12 millimeters, f22, and I get 1 second exposure. f22 is never the optimal aperture because the diffraction really kicks in and softens the picture. But I don't have any ND filters with me, so this was the only way to get 1 second exposure. And as you can see, compared to this other picture where I had 1/30th of a second exposure, the water surface really looks different. And behind me is another scene that I shot last time, and I wasn't planning on reshooting every scene, but now that I see them in a different light and in this kind of epic weather, fog, snow and all, I want to reshoot these same scenes. And I'm gonna take a picture of this tree. I think it's gonna look awesome in this kind of weather. Oh yeah, this is really awesome. 12mm f5.6, 1/30th of a second, and there we go. This is beautiful. I really do like this one. I love how these roots, snow-covered roots, how they fill the foreground. And then there's this lonely rock in the water that balances the composition nicely. This is an awesome picture. I may even print this when I get back home. My favorite wide-angle focal lengths for this kind of general photography are anything between 35 and 24mm in full-frame terms. In Micro Four Thirds, that would be between 17 and 12mm. But I'd like to know, what is your favorite wide-angle focal length for this kind of general photography? Please leave a comment down below and tell me. Alright, I'm back where I started, and I think it's time to call this a wrap and head home. I hope you got something out of this photo walk with me and my wide-angle lens, even though I think there are not that many tips after all. And by the way, here's another wide-angle video that I made some time ago. Please check it out if you're interested. And thank you again for joining in, and I'll see you in the next one.